Incidents like these, violent counter-protests and conservative censorship, becoming all too common on college campuses across our country. Well, now a handful of states are doing something about it. Louisiana is the latest state to pass laws that are actually protecting free speech on college campuses. Our next guest calls this a major win for not only conservatives, but for all Americans. Candace Owens is the communications director for Turning Point USA and has had her fair share of interrupted campus speeches, and she joins us now. So why do you say this is a big win for everyone, Candace?
Because it's really important, regardless of where you stand politically, that students are introduced to different ideas. It's the only way they can learn. It's the only way that they can think critically if they're exposed to different ideas, and not always ideas that they agree with. Otherwise, college campuses are just indoctrination camps.
So Louisiana joins 9 other states: Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Colorado, Utah, Georgia, and Arizona. Do you think other states will pass similar laws too?
I hope so. I hope this is a wave that is catching and that people understand the importance of this. They don't understand how bad it's actually gotten on college campuses. And this feels like a major win for us at Turning Point USA. This is what we fight for every single day because we truly believe it.
What exactly does it mean? It means you can't protest. It means when you're trying to speak, other people can't stand up and shout things at you. What are the details?
I'm hoping that it means that when Charlie and I visit college campuses, we don't have students that are playing music outside, boycotting, making it difficult for us to get inside, say our ideas. And it just means that conservative speakers are allowed on campus without all of the barriers they put in place to stop them. It's tremendously difficult to even allow conservative speakers on campus. So it should be an all-encompassing law that just gives people something to say back when the administration tries to shut down conservative speakers.
Got it. I know you're joining us live from Dallas today because you're going to be speaking at Turning Point USA's Young Women's Leadership Summit. What is exactly your main message to these young conservative women? I know the age group is 15 to 27.
I'm really excited about this event that we're doing here at Turning Point USA. My main message is always the same. Be able to think for yourself. Be independent. Identity is okay. It is okay to be a woman. It is okay to be black, and you should celebrate all of the differences that we have. But these differences should not be politicized. You should still maintain your individuality.
I thought of you yesterday when I was seeing the video of Kim Kardashian meeting Alice Marie Johnson. She was the lady that was in prison for life. She'd served 22 years, and the president pardoned her, and they got to meet for the first time, and they were hugging. And I thought of you because I know you're friends with Kanye. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm just really proud of Kim Kardashian that she was able to do this, that she was willing to go meet with the president, and that she really pushed this issue despite, you know, some of the awful things that were said about her from meeting with the president. She still continued, and she pushed on. And I can't watch these videos without crying. You can just feel the passion and the heart and the pain that this family had gone through, thinking that they would never see her again freed. So I'm really excited that this happened. And by the way, the unspoken heroes here, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, the amount of heart that they have put into this cause cannot be overstated. I am so proud for them. They don't do it for attention, but they deserve some.
What is their mission? What do they want to do? They want to make sure people that they serve their time, but then once, I mean, this lady had served 22 years. Everyone else, that she was like the middleman in a drug operation, and she never put her hands on the drugs. She was just doing the deals, and everyone else got off except for her, and then she got life in prison.
That's correct. Look, there are a lot of black individuals that are locked up, not just black individuals, Americans that are locked up for crimes that don't really necessarily fit the punishment. You can look back to Bill Clinton and his crime bill of 1994, which did a lot of this. The 3 strikes rule did a lot of this. And I think it's time to revisit those and take a look at those cases and say, did this person fill their sentence? Because perhaps they did. Perhaps they're ready to be reintroduced into society. It's a tremendous effort that Donald Trump has taken on. Yeah. And I'm really proud of my president and this administration.
It just needs to be fair. We need to get rid of the corruption. We saw what happened to Dinesh D'Souza. Thanks so much, Candace, for being with us. Good luck there in Dallas.
Thank you so much, Ainsley.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Paul Levy is a trustee of the University of Pennsylvania, and he decided to resign in protest of the school's treatment to another professor, Amy Wax. She is a law professor who lost her first-year classes, there's her picture, after speaking out about black student performance. In a new op-ed about his resignation, Levy says this points to a bigger problem across college campuses, writing, quote, "Nobody in the university community has an incentive to speak out, and everyone everyone seems afraid to do so. Professors fear retaliation. Students worry about social ostracism. Well, Paul Levy, the professor, joins us now to explain. Professor, thank you for being with us.
Thanks. I'm not a professor.
You're not a professor. Okay,
No.
you were on the board at UPenn.
I was on the board.
Overseer of its law school as well.
I was on the law school board of overseers and the university board. I was a full trustee, and then I became a trustee emeritus. So I resigned.
Well, I apologize. So
That's
you resigned. Why?
I resigned because I thought Professor Wax was poorly treated. She expressed an opinion about the performance of her black students, and this became a catalyst for disciplinary action. And it struck me as unfair. There's an unwillingness at the law school. I think there's an unwillingness at universities generally lately to entertain competing ideas. She was basically referring to the performance of affirmative action students. Okay, her view, her experience was that they hadn't done particularly well over the years. Right, and that's what she said.
Who did she say that to?
She said it to a black professor at Brown University, Glenn Lowry, who agreed with her. This is on the public record. It's a blog. You can go look at it. And it's not about whether one agrees with her about affirmative action. It's about her ability to express a point of view, to have an open intellectual debate on a campus about a serious social issue. I can see people being genuinely supportive for good reason of affirmative action, and I can see people taking an opposite view.
What do you say to the critics? Because the critics would say it's offensive, it's negative.
Well, first of all, you have to put it in the context. If you read Amy Wax's book called Race, Wrongs, and Remedies, which it's a spectacular book, it's very caring. She lays out any number of arguments about affirmative action, and she talks quite directly about how
to fix the problems, what the remedies are?
The problems, the problems are mostly intractable, but she talks about the problems in a way that is caring. Mm-hmm. And there's no scintilla of a suggestion of racism on her part. So she's a deeply caring intellectual. Uh-huh. She has received university teaching awards from the university. Mm-hmm. People said that perhaps there was prejudice in her grading system, except they didn't report the fact that her exam for years has been a multiple choice exam graded by a computer. She has nothing to do with the grading of it. So people are not going to be mistreated in the grading.
I see. We did ask for a comment from the school, and the school says the professor, Amy Wax, has not been sanctioned in any way, because you write in the op-ed that she lost a freshman class because of it. They say that's not true. This was a curricular decision, they said. The professor's status, tenure, and seniority on the faculty remain the same. She is scheduled to teach a full load of elective courses next year, as the majority of our tenured faculty do. What's your response?
Well, that's falsehood. I mean, there's no experience in decades, ever, of a teacher being deprived of teaching privileges because students would perhaps feel uncomfortable in that professor's class. It's just not true. All right, this was not an accommodation to scheduling. Mm-hmm. This was done specifically because the university said, the law school said, that first-year students did not have a choice in taking civil procedure, and consequently, they didn't want them to feel uncomfortable in the classroom, okay? Well, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable for any reason, if that's possible. But we live in a world that's contentious. We live in a world that has, any number of important, difficult issues on which people differ.
Okay. Paul Levy, thank you so much. You say other professors or other individuals on campuses are scared to speak out, so you can read your op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. Thank you for joining us and being with us.
You're very welcome.
Federal judge ruling that portions of a free speech lawsuit against officials at the University of California, Berkeley can move forward. Now, Berkeley College Republicans and the Young America's Foundation claim campus administrators erected barriers trying to discourage them from being able to bring in conservative speakers. Joining me now, the national spokesman for the Young America's Foundation. They are the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, and this is Spencer Brown. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so listen, I want to read a little bit of what the chancellor has said there at UC Berkeley. She says this, and this is last fall when this had all started up. She said the right response is not the heckler's veto or what some call platform denial. Call toxic speech out for what it is. Don't shut it down. For in shouting it down, you collude in the narrative that universities are not open to all speech, respond to hate speech with more speech. She says they've tried to work with groups like yours because they want all viewpoints heard on campus. You guys say not so.
Yeah, not so much. You know, what we've seen time and again is this pattern from UC Berkeley where what they say and what they do are two very different things. And so they claim to be the home of the free speech movement. What we've seen time and again is that they continually use their policies, some of them unwritten even, in order to shut down conservative speech.
Well, and I know that there's been talk about this unwritten policy that's aimed at certain speakers. They say there's no such policy. And I want to read part of their motion to dismiss against your lawsuit that you all filed. They say the University of California is deeply committed to free speech on its campuses. The university never banned any speech. Rather, UC Berkeley instituted permissible restrictions on when, where, and under what circumstances major speaker events could occur in campus venues to address specific and credible security threats. They said defendants took reasonable steps to facilitate plaintiffs' events while balancing the competing concerns for security, the university's limited resources, and its educational mission. So I know that there are security fees that they have instituted with speakers coming in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And sort of everything that they say in that statement, they've acted the opposite of. And so if you look at them saying that they've tried to make accommodations, you know, when we first decided to bring Ben Shapiro to Berkeley, they said we have no venues for you at all. And obviously that was not the case, because when we called them out in the press, suddenly they magically found this venue. They gave us the venue. Then about 2 weeks before the event, they restricted 2/3 of the venue, saying you can't use 2/3 of this venue. You can only use the lower level in case somebody throws a chair off one of the balconies. And then they instituted the security fee at the last minute. They tried to restrict the ticketing process. Basically, they've done everything in their power with repeated speakers to prevent students on their campus from hearing conservative ideas.
Okay, so the judge who ruled just last week in this allowed part of your complaint to move forward, but other parts of it not so. Didn't find some of those were justiciable claims. So it's a partial victory for you. How do you feel moving forward?
Yeah, you know, the Department of Justice also released a statement this week calling this a victory in our free speech case against UC Berkeley. But basically what we're able to do now is finally get onto the facts of this case. We've been arguing on this motion to dismiss for a year. Finally, we get to the facts of the case and give these students their day in court. And so we're moving forward under the First and 14th Amendment, basically on the grounds that what Berkeley did, these policies that they had and how they implemented them, violated the First and 14th Amendment rights of these students by denying them free speech, denying them due process, using these vague, unwritten policies. And we're very excited to finally move on to explaining this to the rest of the country.
Any other future events coming up that are kind of at the center of this dispute?
Well, we're coming up on the summer now, but actually in the wake of this successful event with Ben Shapiro, we've had events there with Dennis Prager and Rick Santorum. And so what we've seen is this lawsuit has actually sort of opened up the gates at Berkeley a little bit, where when they have all this attention on them, they're a little more resistant to keep blocking speeches.
Well, the chancellor says that is the ultimate goal. The university says they're willing to work on this. And the names that you've given us, those are certainly people that would be considered conservative speakers. So we'll keep an eye on this. Keep us updated on the lawsuit and any